Hello, everyone. Rachel Rubin here, one of the co-creators, co-founders of Rise Gatherings. We create retreat experiences for women to reconnect with themselves, with nature, and with each other in community. And it is my absolute delight to be here today with Donna Dowson, who is a new facilitator for our upcoming
Mhm.
September weekend getaway this year.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I couldn't be more excited to be a part of the Rise Gathering in September. I'm looking forward to it.
And you'll also be facilitating an online workshop before then,
Hmm.
and that's coming up.
Yeah,
And we'll
coming up.
touch on that a bit too. But I just want to hear or start with a bit more about you. You grew up as a dancer
Hmm.
and you've really felt connected to movement. And
Hmm.
that now in your life, you also facilitate retreats and experiences for others to connect with themselves and each other. And yeah, to learn about how movement and primitive movement, more specifically, primal movement and primal habits are important for our well-being. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about you.
So as you said, I did grow up as a dancer up in New York, and when I was about 15, I really was connected to, I think, African dance movement. I mean, I did all modalities, but truly what resonated with me was the primitive movement. It was very, I love drums and the drumming, that kind of earthy sound that comes from within, that heartbeat, just really moves me in general. And to this day, if there's some music is what passionately will move my body. It's not like I have to say, oh, I'm going to dance. But if something gets turned on, it's like, oh, I have to dance. It's a complete different feeling. So I just want I'd love to like teach that to others and get them to tap into that feeling because it's there. Everybody's got it. You know, they'll find that rhythm, that sound that actually moves them from the inside out. And that's what I'm always searching for. But I found in my adult life, I found yoga as kind of a crossover from dance. Once I started doing yoga, I realized it was a way to bring kind of dance to people, the average person, because not everyone's going to go in and take a jazz class or a ballet class or something like that, but nowadays we're able to get people on their mat and get them in tune with feeling their body from the inside out, basically. So I became a yoga teacher. It's been about 20 years now, and it's been such a fascinating way to really get people in touch with themselves. And so I started leading group retreats, excursions. I take international retreats. I've got one to Bali coming up. I've been to Spain several years in a row, Nicaragua. And I find that not only can do I think, the movement is necessary, but the travel aspect of it, bringing people out of their ordinary. You talk about retreating and whether you're just retreating away from stuff or maybe retreat from your normal experience and go to a different one. If I can facilitate people to open their horizons, broaden their experiences, by providing those international escapes, people who wouldn't normally travel on their own are able to say, okay, I just have to show up. If I could show up, you provide the whole experience. And with that, we've got, movement modalities throughout the week, as well as beautiful excursions, cultural experiences, food, and just communion with other people who think like them, who want to get away and explore. So that's been my passion and how it's grown. And that's how we found you. I was looking into locations, and the location for the Rise event looked like a great local location for me. And then the facility put us in touch, and I was like, yes, this is definitely what we need to be doing.
Yes, I'd love for you to talk a bit more about what you will be facilitating at the weekend and kind of highlight those practices for people. So one of them,
Absolutely.
yeah, we have wilderness grounding, and we also have
So
a cold immersion experience.
super
That
excited about that.
Me too. It's the first time we're going to be doing it and utilizing the lake in such a way. Um, Excited about that. And if you could link these offerings into your idea, this concept of primal habits, and tell us more about
So
that.
absolutely. And those are, the cold therapy is just one kind of primal habit that exists. There's a plethora of them. People know of fasting, with our metabolism, where we go without food for maybe 16 hours at a time. So that gives our um, systems a chance to reboot and start really, you know, uh, getting rid of stuff from the body. That's just one movement, that primal movement of crawling, uh, jumping, moving side to side, twisting, all these things. If you think of our ancestors, they had to maybe walk miles to get water or forage for food, or had to climb a tree, or had to climb down a slope. These are all things that we have lost touch with. And that's in my movement. That's what I'm trying to bring back to people, to move more animalistically, I guess you'd say. And
Yeah.
especially in females, we've kind of lost touch with that wildness within us, and we become very prim and proper, and we don't want to move outside of the boundaries. So I want to like break and unleash that in women, especially, but everybody, in men and women. There's the book Women Who Run with the Wolves, and it talks about. I just you like that?
Oh, it's like I'd say it's my Bible.
So I literally just used it on my retreat, gave it to all the women that were there, and tapping into it resonates so strong with me. I mean, that's
Um,
exactly what I'm trying to say. There's this
yes.
wild woman inside you. We've lost touch with our intuition because of it, and so these are all concepts to pull in. So the cold therapy, that is the primal habit of being adaptable to cold and hot. And if you're someone who, like, the slightest temperature change bothers you, then you probably need to get a little more adaptable. And cold therapy would be a fabulous modality for you.
Mm,
And it could simply be, you take in your hot shower in the morning, and right before you finish, turn it to cold and see how long you can stay in it. Now, when you're first starting, sometimes that's going to be like 2 seconds and you're like, I'm out. But over time, you become adaptable, and then you can stay longer and longer, and up to a couple of minutes. And then you've got more in depth would be a cold plunge, where you're getting into a nice cold temperature tub, and I'm
yeah.
talking like 65 degrees, 60 degrees. So it's like it's numbingly cold. But there's so much that does for you. And if you mirror it, or pair it, I should say, pair it with hot therapy as well. So you go hot, cold. The hot therapy is able to kind of bring things out into the body, and then the cold therapy flushes it through, like our lymphatic system. Just, it helps with our metabolism, it helps with our immune system. And again, like I said, that adaptability for the body.
So big. I love how you frame it as this, that the purpose is adaptability, because we're having to navigate discomfort, and
Mm-hmm.
really to reframe that any type of discomfort that we feel physically is just sensation. And
Exactly.
yeah, how can we be with that, and be more in relationship with that as a
Mhm.
part of our existence?
I mean, most of our dis-ease in the body is inflammation. Cold therapy flushes out inflammation. It's so good for inflammation. So it's definitely another one of those things. So
Yes.
you know, there's
Well,
there's so much, honestly, that I like to
I
narrow
think
it
I'm
down.
definitely going to join the session. I've always been curious about cold plunging, and no
Mhm.
better place to do it than at the weekend in the lake with support and with the
Exactly.
community around, like cheering you on right
It's
there.
going
So,
to be fun. And it's going to be beautiful. I mean, the environment is gorgeous. So
yes.
that's going to be one thing. And honestly, what I will be doing is helping coach people through it with breathing techniques. Breath work can just really help you get through that initial shock to the system of cold water. And then over time, you begin to relax, and you notice that the water doesn't feel so cold anymore. And then you arise out of it rejuvenated, refreshed, invigorated. I mean, it's truly spectacular.
Mm,
Tingling.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm super excited about that one. And then the other, as you mentioned, is the walk through the forest. And that's going to be kind of I'll frame it like a primal walk through the forest. I'm going to be really tapping into grounding, maybe getting our shoes off and putting our feet right into the soil, and then, hugging trees, a tree hug, but really kind of being in nature and feeling it and kind of trying to be one with it. Movement, we might crawl, we might jump, we might, sway or things like that. The other is sound, vocalization. So chanting or oming or yelling or just humming, all these different vocalizations that I think, again, as a society and as women in general, we tend to quiet our voice and hold that back, right? So that throat chakra gets stuck. And I've been really working with that in my own practice. So, being out in nature and like hearing the sounds and working with those and finding our primal sounds, not worrying about what it sounds like. I think a lot of us think, oh, I have to be able to sing, to chant, or anything. That is not the truth. So, and that's trying to pull that away from people's minds and say, no, just vocalize. And then I do want to get people kind of sitting down and meditating right into the ground, sitting maybe at the base of a tree and trying to commune where they can send their roots into the earth through the base of their spine. And then think of that like growing up tall, just like a tree expands. It says rooted, but it expands up to the sky. I mean, that has always resonated with me in my movement, and that's how you find balance. If you can root down and lift at the same time, in your tree pose, specifically in tree pose, you have less of the wobble. But in any kind of balance work or movement, you have to have both. If you're just kind of flying up in the air, you're gonna wobble and bounce, fall and things like that. But if you can stay rooted down to the earth as well as soar, then you'll find that balance.
Yes. Taking the principles of nature, letting them guide us, connecting
Mm-hmm.
with them in such a way. As you're speaking, I keep returning back to, and I don't think it's just because of my love for women who run with wolves, but what you followed that up with was this idea of returning to our wild nature. And that
Absolutely.
when you're talking about primal movements and primal habits, that's really what I see that as. That's
Mm-hmm.
returning to our wild nature. But it
Mm-hmm.
does, stir up in me this feeling of what that is like for women to even consider this idea of being wild. And
Mm,
that there's a lot of fear in that. And that has been created by our culture, society,
absolutely.
restricting, constricting in certain ways. Can you touch more on, because I think that relates to your online workshop that you'll be doing, which is this feminine flow.
Yep.
So I'd love to hear you talk more about inviting women into this kind of wild nature.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
know. I
guess
just, yeah, I
no.
feel it. I feel it. So yeah, our society is a very, it's a patriarchal society, and we have been living in the masculine energy of the world of doing more, being successful, and go, go, go. And my passion is to pull up that divine feminine energy, which is in all of us, and that's not just women. It's in the men in our world need it as well. And so the goddess, I call it a goddess flow because we are all goddesses within us. So that's that wild nature. Goddess flow is very circular movement. Masculine energy is very linear, and so if you think of you're running and you're biking and you're all these power things, power lifting, all this power stuff. So to awaken that feminine energy within us all, we need to be a little gentle. We need to be more circular, less linear, and flow. The word flow kind of automatically gives you that vision of softness and movement. And so my goal is to teach women, especially, how to tap into that, how to move from their center, move from their gut as opposed to their head. Quick example is, if you see someone kind of moving side to side, like yes, they're dancing, and just kind of, oh, I'm moving side to side, but I'm thinking I need to. But if you see someone move from their center, they move side, my
Mhm.
center is initiating that motion. It's completely different, and you feel it differently. And so if I can get women to just, especially, and it's wonderful on Zoom because you're in your own home and you don't necessarily have anyone watching you. So I've really been able to tap into people that way. I've had a couple of experiences online and they're just like blown away because they didn't have that stigma of someone watching them or being in a dance hall or anything. And so if we can start there, then we can let them know it doesn't matter what it looks like. Bring it on and let the world see it. Because the more people that see, oh, wait, she's moving, I can move. If she's doing it, I can do it. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think once you do, the feeling that comes alive in you, the energy, the creative flow that happens, because you're tapping into that feminine energy, you're awakening it.
I really appreciate how you frame it as actually gentle and that
Mm,
there's softness to it. Because when we think of, wild, like a sense of being wild, that can feel maybe startling, like there's an intensity to it or the sense of feeling out of
mm,
control. When actually it's quite the opposite. It's touching the more gentle and softer places within us that exist and awakening those, and using those frames in our life of how we move through the world from that softer, more gentle place. And that
absolutely.
and that's wild.
Yeah, it is. Well, if you take the word wild and look at it more as natural,
Yeah. Yep.
I can equate it like just to my hair. I mean, my hair is wild, but it's natural. I'm leaving it natural, so it's wild. So, when you think of it that way, you don't think of crazy. You don't think wild to crazy. I mean, natural is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And you can tell, like, women are drawn to that,
Mm,
and in each other. Yeah, I used to have
absolutely.
super long curly hair too, and people would be
Mhm.
like, "Oh my God, I love your hair." What I think they were really saying was, if you look so you look so
Yep.
natural. I can feel that in you, and I think that that's we are drawn to that
Hmm.
in others, but it's really the part of us that is that is calling for us to tap into it.
100%. That's what it is. Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm so excited for every
I am. I can't wait. I just
yeah, to move with you in so many different ways, and for, having I get really excited when we bring on new facilitators because it gives that real kind of fresh energy,
Mhm.
because we have a lot of people that do return to the weekend, from the community, and many new people as well, of course. But just to have your perspective and guidance, it's really the guidance that's so key.
Mhm.
A lot of these things we all want to explore, and we just don't know necessarily how to on our own. And
So it's interesting you say that
yeah,
because what I really feel like I'm teaching is for you to find that voice inside that tells you how to do it. Because all the teaching of the world are saying the answer's within, right? The teacher is within you. We all have the answers. We've forgotten how to listen. And so all of these modalities that I use are really simply ways for me to get you to listen to that voice inside because you do know the answer.
absolutely. And that's a facilitator.
Mm,
That's not,
hmm.
and a leader. And that's what we know at the heart, is that you're
Hmm.
facilitating the
Right.
connection in other people so that they can be empowered on their own to go forward and
Hmm.
feel supported in
Yeah,
learning something
absolutely.
new and doing that.
The more supported they feel, the faster they find that, honestly.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, Donna, it's been an absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, same. I look forward to other people coming in and having this experience with you as well, and for you to facilitate these conversations, both in your online workshop coming up on May 9th, which you can
Hmm.
register for on risegatherings.com, and also at the Weekend Getaway, September
Yes.
20th through 22nd in the Pocono Mountains, which you can also find all the information for and register online as well at risegatherings.com. Donna, thank you for being for being
Thank
here
you.
and sharing yourself with the world in all the ways that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.